Now, the Karnataka government has proposed to increase the value of TDR certificates, which stands for Transfer Development Rights Certificates, from 1.5 to 2.5 times in an attempt to popularize the scheme. The state government is hopeful that this will encourage more landowners to opt for the TDR scheme, but indications so far are that this attempt too is doomed to fail. Lakshmi Sivadas joins us with the full story.
This is Tannery Road, an area identified to set up Phase 2 of Bangalore's metro line. The nearly 700 shops here are expected to be halved in size once road widening work for the area begins. The government plans to compensate landowners by issuing Transfer Development Rights or TDR certificates. But these tannery owners are in no mood to entertain that.
The policy of the government and the agency that is doing the widening road and the metro and paying people in the form of TDR is totally undemocratic.
This is a common response to the government's attempt to implement the TDR scheme within the city. So what is a TDR? It is essentially a certificate that gives affected landowners access to an equal amount of land in other parts of the city. These certificates can be used to build additional areas on existing properties or can even be sold to developers. The BBMP needs to build 216 roads and other infra projects as part of its master plan. Nearly 3 lakh properties are to be impacted, and the TDR scheme was expected to be the solution to acquiring this land. But the response so far has been disappointing. Out of the 15 lakh square feet needed immediately, the government has only managed to acquire about 3.5 lakh square feet through the TDR scheme.
The real congestion is happening in the CBD area, and there hardly any road widening took place by surrender of TDR, because today if you take say Vittal Malya Road, the land prices are 20,000 rupees square feet as per guideline value. If somebody surrender the land and if he get just 1.5 TDR, I think it doesn't make any financial sense to the person who is surrendering the land.
That is why the government's proposal to push the TDR from 1.5 to 2.5 times the value of land is significant. Experts feel that it still will not be enough.
70% of the people who have long and complex tenancies get immediately impacted in the most regressive ways. The people who are displaced, who are far more numerous, they would be forced to then relocate to another part of the city, and the kind of compensation that they get will not be enough for them to resettle. So it will actually worsen the land situation.
In spite of these very real problems, the government is still keen on having the TDR scheme implemented. Why? Because unlike the complicated land acquisition route, the TDR scheme takes much less time to complete.
We need to wait for at least one and a half years for the land acquisition award to be passed, and then payment of compensation to the people, and then starting the work. In this process, I can simultaneously notify the road widening and also start the work immediately, and the entire process will be completed in less than 2 years, whereas land acquisition process will take about 4 years.
Landowners are determined not to opt for the TDR scheme, and the government's revised scheme too seems doomed to fail. The big question, will the government be forced to use the Land Acquisition Act, or will they rework the scheme even further to make it attractive for landowners who own prime properties within the city? In Bangalore, Lakshmi Sivadas, NDTV.